and I don't know if I've talked about like my spiritual awakening since in a long time, so I just want to do that again. But like for those wondering like why I can talk to spirits and like why I have all these energies that I'm working with and stuff, it's that my life got real traumatic, and it was like a couple of situations that were really dire, but I think the inciting situation was that like I had surgery and there was faulty equipment, or it was medical negligence or something. I don't know, man. I don't want to go back and sue for it, but like none of my medication was dripping. Post surgery, having the worst pain of my life. Might have passed away. Who really knows? I wasn't attached to shit, right? But in the interim of finding that out, they were like increasing my medicine and gaslighting me like, you should feel fine. So shut the fuck up. And I'm like, screaming, sweating, shaking and shit. And then when my dad came, he was like, hey, that machine's beeping. Should it be beeping? And they were like, oh, so that machine is the one that actually takes the medicine from the bag and puts it into Garfield. So they turned that machine on, and it was like hours of like, and that shit hit, and I went to sleep, and I had the craziest fucking visions of being incepted, basically, by aliens and earth monsters and all sorts of shit. And I was loopy as fuck for the first few days. And they gave me a little bit of medicine to go home with and prescriptions, but I wasn't able to fulfill my prescription. So I went from having an extremely high dose of opiates, which was not on my plan whatsoever, because I get scared, to like having none. And in the process of detoxing, I saw my auric field giant and purple and dark and scary and shit. I was like, oh, that's why magic people don't fuck with me. And shortly after, I had a dissociative episode, which my medical team diagnosed as a result of PTSD. But shortly after, I started channeling divine energy, and it was nuts. Because I had not really done that before. Before, I was just kind of reading the cards and feeling the vibes. Like, I'm sure there were a few spirits on my team, but the door of the beginning and the end opened to me. And since then, I've been able to talk to all sorts of spirits and do all sorts of crazy things. So, shout out to near-death experiences, I guess. It's what brought me here. So, like, after I had that awakening moment, it's like there was like greater awareness of like magical shit that was around me. And there was also like this intense download who my special friend at the time was forced to kind of indulge in. Bless their heart, bro. I hope nothing but good things are happening for them. That's in their alignment. But after that, I had to deal with like homelessness. And fortunately, because I had awakened and I had awareness of certain spirits, they were able to kind of like help me survive. And so it like really came from survival skills. And I think a lot of people's their sixth sense gets activated when their five senses aren't enough to do the job of securing survival for them, because it's almost like a DNA activation. But I also had spiritual psychosis real bad, because nobody was like explaining to me what was going on. People were like hyper fixated on my mental health, even though it was like being managed. But at the same time, you know, I had never been like psychic before and seeing visions and shit, so I can understand their concern. And now that it's kind of like mellowed out a bit, everybody's like way more on board here. But it was a wild time, dude. And it helped me to gain like a better relationship with my spirits and actually learn how to like I've been learning a little bit of magic and doing ancestor veneration. And I'm really grateful that I was doing that type of work, because if I had no relationship to spirit before that, oh, I have been real freaked out. But I was also just real freaked out because, you know, I was like having to overcome a lot of things on my own. You know, I had just had like major surgery. I was going through like clinical menopause, and then um, abuse, like really complex narcissistic abuse, and homelessness. And then there were also there was a nebula talking to me, and I knew the people weren't gonna fuck with that. But the nebula was the only one helping me, and so it was like, yeah, it was like only like animal spirits and stuff from my childhood, and this divine and like extraterrestrial energy, and it worked. So I ain't about to shit talk on it, you know. And I will say that like prior to all of that, and this is why I don't really recommend people do anything like to activate themselves early without doing the foundational stuff. All that stuff happened after I had been reading tarot for like 3 years. At that point, I was already like in the community, vending, doing events, selling crystals and stuff. So I had like an acknowledgement of the spiritual before I was like dunked in the tank, right? And I know like not everyone gets a shamanic activation like that. And high key, I don't recommend it because it can get really scary, and it's made me very weird. It's like made me like super weird. Like I really struggled to relate to other people. I think from life experience, like I guess like when people are talking about their problems, I'm just kind of like, okay, you know. It's like I do think I still have a lot of sympathy and stuff, but like there's so much about my reality that it's difficult to relate to people on, right? It's difficult sometimes for me to accept. And I think that's just a part of like, when your mind goes through stuff like that, denial is how it saves itself. So a lot of times I don't even believe in half this shit. But then other people randomly confirm it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So either either the universe is like making those confirmations for me, they're spying on me, or or like it's just a coincidence. But even if it's a coincidence, it's just kind of like, damn, this shit is happening. But I don't know, man. Like you tell people that you channel a dog spirit from across the fucking universe. First thing they're gonna do is call you a furry and ask you if you have a costume. And no, I do not. I do not. All the energy changes that I experience are like through channeling, and so it's really about how much I embody that kind of stuff. Whereas before it was like just kind of like conceptual that I just understood. Now it's like physical, and that's intense. And I don't think a lot of people could really handle this type of life without going insane. And I think that's what a lot of people were betting on, because I was low-key insane before. But the insanity actually helped me to adapt. So, fuck you. That's for like a few people in particular. The rest of you, thank you so much for watching.